right, we have the citizens' comment period on our agenda. I don't know if anybody is here to speak to the committee directly. Doesn't look that way, but again, if anyone is, citizens' comment period. Seeing nobody raising their hand and running to the front of the room, we'll close that and move on to continuing the review of the 2026 mayor's recommended budget. Now, do we have, here's John, if you want to make a notion.
Mr. Howard?
Note that Mr. Howard's joining. 503.
There you go, sir.
Is there a couple that we have to pick up from Thursday?
Yes, but we're actually going to go a little out of order tonight. We're going to start with the municipal court, which is on 49.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good.
So I'm Judge GK, Georgia Constantakis, and I have my court clerk with me here today, Amanda and Baumgart, and we're here to discuss the budget for 2026. How exciting. Riveting conversation. So do you want me to start?
Yes,
Sure,
please.
go ahead.
Okay.
A little overview of your department and then some of the requests that you had.
Yeah, so one of the requests that we had was the carpet. So I think I've brought this up in previous conversations. We did have a short briefing about the courtroom carpet, which is an original. It's an OG. 2001 is the last time that anything was done. It hasn't been cleaned, it hasn't been maintained, it's separating, the glue's coming undone, and we are strongly encouraging you lovely folks to agree to a new carpet. It helps a lot of people. It just doesn't help our courtroom, which is on Wednesdays. It's only one day a week. It's used for a multitude of, purposes, including weddings. It's for voting. We also use it, the courtroom, the police department uses it for training. So it's used for a multitude of reasons. It's a tripping hazard. I'm strongly encouraging for you guys to approve this. The other item on the agenda was metal detectors. To be honest with you, the way that this country is going now, these are kind of mandatory, and I'm thinking eventually, and it probably would happen sooner than later. I think it's going to be mandated by the state to get these metal detectors. It isn't right now, but I think it will be. So it'd be nice to get ahead of the curve. We do have other municipalities that do have these metal detectors, and quite honestly, I think that they're really important. That's just my opinion, and it's based in large part on, we've even got little ones in the courtroom that come on Wednesday morning, babies, infants, all the way up to teenagers, even at night. We've got the juveniles that come into court. So it is a multitude of people that are in this courtroom. Not that I'm saying that they're the most precious of all, because all defendants are precious, but these little lives they matter, right? And of course, our lives matter, right?
Yes,
everybody matters. So it would be nice to get these metal detectors. Am I, at this point, because we're asking a lot. We're asking for metal detectors. We're also asking for carpeting. And we're also asking for a budget for the parking citations. Right now, there is an interface that can be used, and I believe Amanda can answer your questions and talk more about this, because I'm not in tune with what they do from the court standpoint of handwriting these citations right now. So, Amanda, if you could take that away, that'd be great.
Not handwriting, but when the officers issue a parking citation, all parking citations, we're manually entering those right now, which very, very time consuming. There's a ton of information on these things. There's an interface from the police software into the court software where we can just download these, get them in there, move on to other tasks. So,
And what is the cost of that, Amanda, if you wouldn't mind sharing that?
6.
roughly 6 for the first year. I think it comes to about $5,800 for the first year, and then to keep the software thereafter would be $1,000 a year.
Yes, question.
So on that is the 48, so the 4,800 is the one time upfront?
5,800.
5,800.
Yeah, it's got the 1,000 in there and then additional 48.
Yes.
So, does that include all the setup, everything that you
Yes.
need, any configuration, all
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yep.
That's all in.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So when I met with the judge, the court clerk, and I know, was it Sergeant Fadness that was there?
Yes.
And was the chief there too?
Yes.
So we met, and it was very, very strongly considered to prioritize this interface moving forward from the police end of it, and they know how labor intensive it is to facilitate this for simple parking citations, which, as we know, or if we don't know, we should, that the city gets all that revenue from a parking citation. That money goes back all to the city. Everything else is a percentage. So we also want to make this more user-friendly, more flowing. So as far as that singular item goes, strongly recommend that move forward in the budget and as a continuation for that 1,000 annually, because that is absolutely supported by the PD as well.
Another thing that I wanted to bring to everybody's radar is, my understanding is we're gonna need a full-on records department. That's something that's new. Apparently now, police officers are they're going to have body cams. So that's gonna be, unfortunately, a lot of work for the records department. So when that does happen and people are asking for discovery materials, they're going to be asking for records of body cam. That's gonna take time to take that information and transpose it into, whether it be some sort of little drive, something. That information is considered open records. People are entitled to that information. We cannot deny them that. It's going to bog us down significantly. So I bring to your attention on the City of Franklin Capital Improvement Plan. If you all want to look at that, it's year 2. It's for 2027. If you look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down, remodel, relocation, municipal court access to PD. Apparently, in the budget right now is about $200,000. It's a capital improvement fund. It looks as though we had a situation where,
Page
sorry.
221. Go ahead.
is everybody there yet? I won't start till we get there. Everybody there? You see where I'm pointing? Remodel, relocation, municipal court access at PD. So if you look, and I don't know if you guys have recently been into our area of the building, but in the police station, when you first walk in, that's where people come through those windows, through those clear glass, door or windows. And so they'll just come over there and make a request for records. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, because I wasn't here when that happened, but we've repositioned, because that money was supposed to be allocated to fix that area up, to make a division between court clerks and the police department and then records. So we have essentially saved the city a lot of money by Amanda, the court clerk, repositioning that area so that the court clerks are hidden from the window, so you really can't see in to them. So it's great, and it alleviates the issue of having to reconfigure that whole space. So there's a little extra money here, a little extra cash, which is nice. So we don't have to resolve this problem anymore. I'm asking maybe we shift the funds for metal detectors, the carpet, as well as the parking implementation that we just discussed. So, just a thought to think about. We've solved the problem. We need a records department. We can reallocate the funds partly towards records as well as the rest of the information that I just previously discussed. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
So going back to the question on it, all that revenue for parking citations goes all back to the city. What roughly do we, how much revenue is that per year?
We have
I
like
can,
overall
Like an
amount.
average, like some high level, I don't need exact amount.
well, okay, so the last time I ran the numbers for this year, so through July 31st of this year, revenue was 27,143.
And that was up from the year previously, or was it?
It could be.
Yeah. Just wanted to bring
Got a
that
couple months left. It
to
could
the
be.
attention.
I'm not going to make a promise.
Yeah. Thank you.
The year before came in at about 30,000, just shy of 30.
And the year's not over yet.
Killing me.
Lots of parking problems left.
Oh, yes, especially during the winter months when the plows need to get through.
Yep.
So it's happy ticket time.
All right, anybody else?
Yeah, I just have one question. Do you know roughly, for the metal detector about how much that would be? I know that police had in their budget that they would like an extra, to move somebody over to help, with facilitating that. So we know approximately how much that would cost, but from your end, for the actual,
Metal detectors,
the detector itself.
Yeah.
Just so that we can, just know how we're gonna pay for that and what it costs.
we got a
Between
quote.
10 and 11.
We got a quote,
Okay.
and quite honestly, it's a very reputable company. So we believe that they would be the best fit for us at this point.
Yes, Mayor.
So, Judge, if we could just go back to that meeting a little bit. So it's not just, so everybody knows, it's just not a metal detector and you walk through. It's got to be staffed. So there has to be a staff member there to say, okay, put everything in a little plastic container. Now step through. Oh, you're still going off. Now you have to have a handheld, and you have to have the handheld to find out where the metal is. This is going to be a little bit of a cumbersome thing, and that's why that's a little cautionary flag before we go down that path. But if the interface is really, really important, so I would make that as a priority.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bargain that one away. I would really
No.
make sure that it's, because the
Absolutely
PD,
not.
the PD really needs that. Now, going back to the carpet, I would like to see that rebid, because I know there's local vendors that would be very interested in giving a bid that would, okay, I mean, I know the carpet's a priority. I've been there. I was there for the meeting. I saw the areas that are bad. But as far as that goes, I think there's some, if it was put out there again and some local vendors were made aware that they could bid on this, I think we would see quite a bit of savings.
Well, again, we got 3 comparable bids, so I don't think we were out of the park. It's only gonna go up from here, guys. Everything is going up.
And to be fair, I know that from the finance perspective, my request was carpet that hasn't been replaced in almost 30 years either. So maybe kind of communicating that, you never know, like we've talked about before, you get a deal if
Absolutely.
multiple departments
Right.
are
That
needing
sounds good.
carpet.
Yeah, we're not opposed to working
Yep.
with multiple, locations here, because that would be the plan, to get a better deal.
Yep.
And we don't have an allegiance to any one, person. We can care less, so long as we get new carpet and it's classy. it doesn't look like a mismatch, so.
All right, anything else for, or related to the municipal court? Not, thank you very much, appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got my fingers crossed.
You're not the only one.
We should say thank you also. We understand that the municipal court fees have been running, I think, stronger this year in 2025 than we've seen in prior
Many
years.
years, yep.
Thank you.
So, thank you for
There's
that
a,
work.
there's a running joke that I take the defendants and flip them upside down and shake them down.
Give me your
Yeah,
lunch money.
so that's the running joke.
Well, whatever works. Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening.
We have the library,
All right, library is on page
175.
Hi.
Hello.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jennifer Luffel, the library director at the Franklin Library. I think most of you do know who I am. I've been here for 23 years. So. First, I want to thank the city for just all the things that you've done for the library over the years. The Johnson Controls project with the solar panels. I got our energy bill today, our electric bill today from September, and it was a $6,000 savings over the last year. Now, we're still in summer with lots of sun. How it's going to continue for the rest of the year, but it's been very beneficial. So I just wanted to take some time to talk about our budget, our requested budget, and then answer any questions you might have. So as you can see, our requested budget is $1.497050 million, which would be a $29,350 increase over last year, or roughly 2%, which is enough to cover our 2% COLA increases, which is very helpful. But it doesn't cover the other items in our budget that are going up quite a bit. So, but we are grateful for anything. And one of the strategies we've employed to kind of bring our costs down is implement some staff efficiencies, adding a third self-check in the children's department, eliminating Hoopla, which is a very popular very popular resource that streams audiobooks, music, ebooks. So we will be eliminating that. The library board has decided to eliminate that in 2020. It's going to be hard. A lot of people use it, but it's not a sustainable resource. It's not a good use of taxpayer money because we pay per use. And I think there's some other ways we could use that money more wisely. So we're looking at MCLIS, the Milwaukee County Federal Library System is looking at strategies, replace Hoopla, other resources that won't cost much, but will still provide a good return on investment. So another thing that we are requesting in our budget this year is, like the municipal court, carpet. Our carpet that we're replacing is original to 2002 when the library was built. So that's another. If you look at the revenues on top, the $58,000 that we have in library reciprocal borrowing is not a firm number. We will be receiving the numbers for that within this next week, because the statistics that number is based on are gathered from September 30th, so from October 1st of 2024 to September 30th, tomorrow, 2025. And basically, for those of you who might be new to this committee, the library reciprocal borrowing is the amount of money that other libraries pay Franklin
for use of our library materials. And we have what's called a net positive because we have more people that come to Franklin and check out materials here than Franklin residents go to other libraries. And that is a testament to the investment that the city has put into the library. On the downside, because we had to look for some areas of potential savings next year, one of the areas that we did decide to cut was library materials. That's a very difficult decision that we made, but it's important to us that we maintain a great collection. I think Franklin residents deserve and kind of demand a good collection. And so, we'll employ some strategies to try to, so that it's not felt so much. We look at, for instance, our audiovisual budget. And we know that people aren't checking out DVDs like they used to. A lot of people, especially during the pandemic, we started streaming. They learned how to stream. So, that's one area that we can cut. Don't want to cut it too much because we do still have a lot of people who check them out. I'm not saying that people don't check them out. We still have quite a good checkout, but it's down from the heyday of like the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
So I think pretty much. Alan, do you have any comments? This Alan Alexandrovich is our library board treasurer, and without Alan, he makes all these numbers make sense. So, do you have anything to add?
No, not really. Other than we run a tight ship.
We do. There's not a lot of waste. I don't approve frivolous things. Everything that we spend money on is appropriate and judicious. Prudent, I guess is a good word. So we are very tight. We are cognizant that we are stewards of a budget for our citizens and that we need to make really good decisions.
All right, comments or questions on the library board operations, etc. Again, if I'm stating this correctly, the city basically, I think, allocates a pool of dollars that go toward the library. Individual line items kind of left to the board to sift through and make out. So see this later on in the discussion or in terms of a pool dollar or one lump sum dollar amount for their operations.
Yeah, if you ever have trouble sleeping at night, there's a chapter 43 in the Wisconsin State statutes that covers the library. So read it because it'll make you go to sleep real quick.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I'm on the library board as a representative of the Comcom. I know that the hoopla cut was not an easy decision to be made, and I know there was a lot of discussion on that. And I think that it says something for the library to come forward and say not something that was an easy area to cut, but it's a necessary area to cut. And there's, the risk versus reward of carrying the subscription versus not. I think was quite a bit of discussion. I think it says something about the library board and the library itself as far as wanting to make good, smart financial decisions for the city and not overextending and saying, well, we have people that want it, so we need to keep it. How many of those people live in Franklin and do take advantage? And is it something that we can find alternatives? I commend the rest of the board for their work on this.
We've been talking about this for quite almost a year.
All right. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Hearing none, we want to thank you for stopping by, spending some time with us tonight. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
what do we have?
So I think the rest that we just missed on Thursday of last week would be Kelly and myself, so we can briefly run through. Missed, the mayor left. His budget is self-explanatory, not his budget. Administration is 64.
So in the interest of time and also because there's really content-wise, so for that I'll just run through all of this. Our budget is pretty much flat. We don't have any new staffing members that we're looking for. We'll continue to look for efficiencies, those process improvements, and don't really have any significant increases beyond postage expenses, printing, the standards, the wage benefits. I do have a couple of asks that are a carryover from last year's budget, and we're going to continue to carry that over. It's something that I would like to keep sights on, but obviously I am very aware of the dire financial situation we're in, and certainly not something that is required to move forward as of right now. I'm going to jump into the assessors area unless anybody's got any questions or wants to discuss anything about admin and HR.
Yeah, one question. So in the capital expenditure, you have the e-signature program?
Yep. Yes. So what I'm looking to do, and that was kind of a placeholder of not having. That's sort of a placeholder of not having, I didn't go out to get any quotes or anything like that, but I did start pulling information to look for ways that we could sign our contracts via electronically because it is such a delay for everybody trying to be here to physically sign the contracts and get everybody, you know, we have traditionally 3 signatures on any, maybe 4 actually, standardly on any one contract. So it's very difficult to continue to try to do the wet signature process. So I'm just hoping that that is a way to, again, expedite and create efficiencies.
How many people do you need per signature? I'm familiar with this kind of stuff, so how many?
I'm thinking 4, maybe 5, because I do sign your stuff too.
I think your numbers are really high. I think.
Yeah, I figured. Yep.
Okay.
I figured it would be better to go conservative,
Yep.
and then it's
Well,
fun little, hey, look,
Right.
shaved off all of this, and now it only
it
costs
does
us.
get rid of a lot, and technically gets rid of all the paper because you have to physically print all
Print
of
all
that
of
to
these,
sign it all,
yes.
and then you have to turn it back into a record, right? You have to scan it back in, and it gets rid of all that.
Well, and I think, you know, from this the standpoint of just practicality, right? Like things have really changed.
Oh, yeah.
The way that we do business has changed, and yes, the paper standpoint. But what about when our signers go on vacation? And what are we going to like set things aside for a week? We could, or if they have access, they might be able to go in, sign off on something, and keep things moving forward as well.
Well, and I could just speak to 2 quick scenarios. I remember being in the Dells at a conference and having to have the e-signature available to sign something that was very critical. And then even I've had to come in here on either a day off or a vacation day. Thank God I was around, but to sign something that was also critical.
Right.
So it's just
It doesn't make any sense. And the added benefit, at least from like a DocuSign, because I'm not familiar with all of them, but the added benefit of that is that it kind of takes the step that our clerk's department has to do as well, which is scan them all in and save them. And it just does all of that and provides them with an electronic file.
Yep.
That we can easily just save.
Does our city software or the main modules have any other services out there available? I would think we're not the first ones asking.
One thing I do have, and I know it came up as one of the top e-signature programs to look at. I have a personal Adobe Acrobat account, and apparently there's a signature feature on that as well. And so, and there's a ton of programs that I'm gonna.
Yeah, there's a list. There's Adobe Sign, and there's DocuSign, like you mentioned.
Right.
And there's like a whole plethora because there's
Yeah.
another like tier. Those are all the big corporate tiers, and there's a tier below that that's much less expensive.
Right. So I'm just trying to find what makes sense, like who to target in
Yep.
terms of companies first and foremost, and then who needs to have an account, and what does that look like? Because we don't want things caught and sitting in their email addresses or in their email accounts as well, and then it's holding everybody up. Because I know that happens with DocuSign, so I don't know if there's a feature or a service that's available where you can collect everybody's signature at varying times and still pull it all together. Kind of like a Google Docs and stuff like that, where you can have multiple people working on things. It saves it all instead of.
You can tell if it's in sequence or if they can all be done parallel.
Right, exactly. Because I think that would also be nice. Obviously, have different times. There's different people here in Reachable. So that's kind of my thought process. It was one of those thoughts and ways to create efficiency that popped up literally right before the budget. So it's unexplored.
Then what's the last one with the social media legal insurances?
Yes, so I am very well aware that the council and also the tech committee does not like the idea of the city having a social media page. However, in today's day and age, hear me out.
No, I think I'm
Okay. In today's day and age, and with our population, we have a lot of people that, to be perfectly honest, get most of their news and information from Facebook. And so I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. I know we have a ton of different departments and programs that have their own Facebook pages. My thought process is, and I spoke with this at our department head meeting, is that the city creates its own official Facebook page, turns the comments on. All of those pages can continue to share information, and we can have information either however it works, whether it's from our website plugging into Facebook or in reverse, but have something where I get it. Like if they can go to Facebook, they can go to the internet and find it, but they're not. And so I think it would be really helpful to have everybody just kind of putting their information on the city's official Facebook page, and then whatever ends up, coming from that, but a Facebook page, because it is, in my opinion, a huge miss. It's something that could be very easily done. The legal part of it, so it wouldn't cost us anything to do it technically. The legal part of it and the piece that's in there is that fire department had hired somebody from Civic Plus, where they had provided guidance and information around how to legally do this. And the chief is here, so I'm sure he can speak more to this. But I put it in as a placeholder and jacked the price up since it's been a while.
And then I would say, as a side note to that, I was working in TOSA when they came into the social media age, and they have communications people on staff like we do, and then this was what their primary role was, because once you go into social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to use, they all work at a different cadence and a different speed. So the recommendation was for the cities, unless you have somebody that you want watching everything 24/7, is that Facebook is the vehicle, because as soon as you start going into Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, those move so much faster that you can't keep up with it.
And I'm thinking Facebook is like my speed. I can't even personally, I can barely keep up with that.
And
So
generationally,
Right.
the people that are going to be looking for that are generally on Facebook more than anything else. Which
Exactly.
I know I'm calling myself old, but that is just generally.
It's the reality. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the generation. Yeah.
But the other thing too, and I'm not sure if this spun off of that, but there is training out there for municipalities on social media use. So it goes into how to post, what not to post, when to turn comments off, when to leave them on, and how to back that up because it's open records. So social media is all open records.
Right.
So you have to have a mechanism to retain whatever's posted.
Right. And looking at the quote or the information that the chief had passed on to me, that was predominantly information what they were looking at. I would not want to do this if we had comments on it. I think that comments have to strictly be off, and we have to have admin from the various pages just posting to it, because we don't have somebody that can just man this and do this as a function of many elements of her job. Lisa maintains the website, but we don't have somebody that can watch. We don't have a communications department. We have a public relations specialist that does a slice of things, and then Lisa to do the website. So I figured, these pages are already out there. Why not put it under a greater umbrella? Then we have our information, and the key information that we want there is easily accessible for those groups that predominantly use Facebook, which is the larger majority of our population at this point.
And for things like, the floods that just happened, I mean, thankfully Franklin didn't have a lot of impact from that, but I think people probably went to social media first looking for things because other cities and other areas, were posting there, and then we had to, through, the game of telephone, let people know that all the things were on our website.
Right. Whereas, it would be a lot easier for the alders and the mayor who have Facebook pages that are official position pages to then share directly there. That's
Go ahead.
So what is the difference between that $10,000 and the $25,000 liquor relations service?
They're totally different. The public relations services is Mary Christine, and the work she provides. So press releases, other things that she deals with marketing. She actually predominantly works with the Director of Economic Development at this stage. So it's two separate, I guess.
Yes, go ahead.
I've been one of the ones that's been against a city social media page because we have the website. With all the existing groups that are on Facebook, and you've already mentioned that it only targets a certain demographic. Is there any way to just reach out to the admins on those groups and say, hey, would you be interested maybe in taking a look every week or whatever at the city website, approaching it that way?
Well, this would be a consolidation of information under one Facebook page that currently does not exist.
Right.
So I think it's totally different than what you're talking about. They provide information to Lisa already for the website.
Yeah.
So there's already that overlap, and it doesn't really.
Yeah, to me though, it just seems like the Facebook page is a redundancy of the web page.
Right, it is. Yes, but the point is
It's a
that
channel.
the people that aren't going through to use it they're not doing it, and they're using Facebook, and so it's a communications channel that we don't have right now that technically is. I mean, I guess it's a vocalized miss that I've heard.
So the part the website as it exists today, if it's updated, there's no way for me as a resident to know it's been updated unless I go out there and
Exactly.
I hunt for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like a step to get to a push, whereas, and I wrote it down in the IT stuff, longer term, you really need to kind of change the platform that we're in so that you can either do that publishing there and either push that to various channels as well, or be able to allow people to like subscribe, and that way when we get updates, they would get notified. So, but I think that's a steps.
Yes, go ahead.
I think we should definitely have the social media. I think it's a necessity nowadays.
Yeah.
100%. That's one thing, but I also think that I know that everyone's like Facebook, but it's a really easy like switch really to add something to like make a post on Facebook, and then that can be equally shared on Instagram.
Yeah,
right there
right,
and then,
right,
which,
yeah.
Again, you wouldn't need to. Like,
It's just all in this setup, yeah, absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's how mine is too.
Yeah,
So-
Hootsuite lets you, there's a program called Hootsuite that lets you add multiple platforms, and you make the post, and then it pushes to all of them.
Your
Yeah.
posts.
Right, but I mean, I know my limitations, and this is it. I would not even advocate for any other social media channels beyond Instagram, because it literally just goes right into your, it feeds over, so then there's no maintenance.
Meta owns both.
Yeah, exactly. But outside of Facebook, outside of comments turned off, and the existing admin for our other Facebook page departments are the ones that feed into it. That's my thought.
All right, any other comments? Questions?
Well, you guys, this is funny because I thought this was going to be quick. All right, maybe this one. City assessor. Currently, we are on our second year of services.
74.
Services provided by Forward Appraisal LLC. We are contracted through next year. The first year, 2024, we had a full reval, which is what the city has been contracting for many years that precede me. I'm not exactly sure when we had actually started doing the full revals. However, 2025 and 2026 are considered maintenance years, and that is the difference in the contracted price for how they break out for the year, for each year. We will continue to use Market Drive technology through Catalyst, which is the software program that our assessor uses, and provide board of review support. There's nothing really beyond this contract to discuss. Outside of that, we have had some discussions on potentially an ordinance to make the re-evaluations every so often. We've also discussed how we are missing dollars that are coming in that would be better served to do those revals yearly at this point. And I think part of it's obviously the growing. So there's that, and I think that might also be year by year basis, a conversation of, kind of what we're looking at that's coming in. But outside of that, that's running smoothly. It has been requested and highly recommended by the assessors to have your homes looked at, get your information updated. I recently did it. It was painless. They updated a lot of information that they didn't have. My house is a complete disaster. I have 4 kids and 2 pets. Total disaster. They were not making comments. There was no judgment. 20 minutes tops. I think it was like inside and then a little bit outside that I didn't have to be a part of. So, but it just having people be able to say this, I think, kind of reduces some of the resistance for our residents. So I'm going to throw that out there. Legal services. Jump into that right away. I don't know what page that is. Thank you. All right. So nothing really has changed with this beyond the fact that we do have the personnel committee. Council had approved opening up a staff position. We continue to get those applications. In fact,
HR manager was on vacation last week, and I'm looking to start just bringing these people in for conversations. I think it's important to talk with them. And at this stage, I'm sort of aiming for, if you have a law degree, let's just kind of talk about, get to know them and see what we're dealing with in terms of an applicant pool. However, obviously, Jesse is still here with us and continues to move forward. My goal is to transition that. I'm hoping this year that we're able to find a staff member to basically take that institutional knowledge from Jesse and run with it. I think that we can do a lot with a full-time staff attorney. That, you know, we're just limited because of the hourly contractual relationship and the nature of that right now. But until then, we're just going to keep going at it how we've been.
Did you factor in, as we're looking toward the transition piece, other expenses that might go along with having an in-house city attorney, like if they need a paralegal, if they need, there's the library access, like things like that. There's like extra, because I see the budget in here for the attorney piece. I'm just concerned that there might be a lot more in addition to that may be required, that we have to kind of think about too, where that money would come from. I think the idea is sound and good. It's just I just don't want us to short that person coming in and then not having the resources to be able to keep up on their own.
Right. And I think right now, I think that it would be fair to say that currently the city attorney does the great majority of what he works on is, I would say, like more of an administrative, legal standpoint of things. So like litigation is handled elsewhere. HR is handled elsewhere. So we've got a number of things that are handled elsewhere. Our municipal court prosecutor, he's part of Jesse's firm, and obviously that is something that's just been kind of, it manages itself. It's been running really well. Attorney Bordas, he's top notch. So that would continue to be the same, and these things, essentially, whoever we would look to bring in would take over that admin piece, be at these meetings, start doing the research, start writing the ordinances, slowly taking this stuff, and then depending on the person's capabilities and our needs, I think we start moving towards alleviating some of those other things and bringing them more in-house. But if we don't, then I don't really see as much of a need for a paralegal and that sort of thing, because it's the same situation that we have right now with City Attorney Wesolowski. You know, he's got like pretty much a two-person firm right now, and there is no real paralegal that he's utilizing at this stage that I'm aware of that we're paying for. So, what's that?
But I mean, and that's the thing, because he does talk about how he's like overloaded.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where, like, if we're gonna do it, we, you know, at least for maybe not like right now, but you know, projecting out, knowing that we need that help.
Right. It will probably be a very real need, and I'm hoping that we can get into it, see how it turns out, and kind of take some measurements at that time and determine. But I'm also hopeful that if we need somebody like that, that person can also help with other administrative things if necessary. Because I mean, we certainly have a lot of work and not enough people to do it. But that's kind of, in my opinion, that would be more bang for the buck. And then also with the salary, we at least have a little bit more predictability too, I think, versus, you know, right now we have predictability with the bills that we're seeing coming in, but Jesse is also, you know, I don't know how long he's going to be practicing business for.
And to your question, Courtney, no, this only takes into account the staff attorney. There's no
Yeah.
paralegal or anything.
So just something to the back burner for future years. We end up pulling it.
Absolutely.
Any other questions there? Hearing none.
Okay, and then insurance is the last thing that I have for notes here, and just maintain coverage levels, cost track with the market. We're looking for no expansion of projects or programs, but we continue to benefit from fire policy adjustments and risk mitigation work, you know, with the JCI upgrades, long-term liability, kind of transferring that over. And then overall, it's stable. There's no extraordinary increases beyond inflation adjustments. This is for property casualty. We did have some increases in our workers' comp claims, but there is ways to adjust that, and I think I'm jumping ahead too.
Yeah, so just to highlight the email that we received from the league, or R&R. Our liability insurance is a 2% increase. Our auto and physical damage is a 3% increase. Our building insurance is an increase. So you're right.
Stable. It's like moving with the normal inflation demands. And that's what I had on my list. If I missed anything, I apologize. Yeah, and then, you know, the self-insurance fund, with that, we continue to look for opportunities to try to decrease any increase in our premiums following into that. So, you know, we're looking for a narrower network, just ways that we can combat the increase that we know will be with the premium, the renewal. Trying to maintain a small percentage increase as much as possible.
Yeah, so we initially got some numbers from USI that projected a potential like 9 to 10% increase on the premiums for employees and the city. However, getting some more data through July allowed that increase to go down to about 5%. And so having some future meetings to try and mitigate that down to a cost neutral. So this budget does presume a 5% increase dental, 5% increase health, with the anticipation of us knowing on the back end that that may be reduced in the next couple of months, depending on what direction we decide to go.
What's the total dollar amount that 5%? On average, is it like 100,000? Is it $500,000?
To be honest, I have no idea.
Okay.
I have the salaries.
I just know we have the gap right now, so I'm just trying to understand
Right,
like
yep.
how much of it is in that gap.
Do you know the individual rates for family?
We don't have any of the rates out yet.
What was it?
For family, the high deductible or the PPO?
Both.
So right now, 2025, the high deductible for the employee is $276 a month. And the family PPO plan is $458 a month
How much is for,
for 2026, or the single.
yeah,
So single high deductible right now is roughly $114, and the single PPO is $190.
you don't have any for family plus children?
No, it's only you're either single or your family. We don't, and that's something that we've talked about too, is potentially segregating it out for maybe just a single and a spouse, or single and children. But we don't have anything like that right now. It's either single or you have a.
For the projected 5%, is that just in premium, or is that you're also adjusting like deductible and co-insurance, or are you just
That's premium only. The only increase that we've talked about for the deductible side is whatever the IRS regulations are, which I think is only a $50 increase.
Yeah, it wasn't much. I thought it was like 100 or something, but that was probably $50 for
I thought,
individual
yeah.
and 100 for family.
Is there an
Whatever the
H-
regulation is.
Yeah.
Is there an HSO plan?
Do you have an
plan?
HSA plan?
How much do you contribute for that?
We don't do the HSA, we do the HRA. No,
Other way around.
is it not? Okay, I've got it the other. There you go. Dealing with times. I'm letting you find it because at this stage I'm like, I don't even know where I would find what I need.
While I'm grabbing that, that has also been a discussion that we've talked about, is potentially increase our HSA.
Do you do anything for wellness?
Well, we have nice, so the wellness contract that we had previously was with Humana and they stopped offering it. And then when that occurred, we just did not pick up another wellness program. We have a EAP program. And obviously we have wellness benefits that are associated with our labor contracts, but for our other employees, I don't think we have anything beyond what's included in our NICE healthcare, which is really nice, I guess. And also whatever comes with the EAP program and benefits.
So
We didn't see like enough of a utilization to justify going with another program, and because Humana was getting rid of the program as a whole, didn't make
So the HSA coverage is you have to be on the high deductible plan. Get it?
Yeah.
Single is $750, and then family is $1,500
That's a month or a year?
a year. We contribute monthly to that.
All right, anything else in terms of continuing battle?
Right. Yeah, I mean, at that end, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that comp and class study that has been slowly overdue. When we were talking over the last year or so about different approaches and step approaches, right? Phasing in this program, obviously that has, with the $1 million gap, been shelved at this point. But again, I would be remiss if I didn't say that employees are very hypersensitive and aware of the difference between how some are, you know, the benefits for some versus others. And obviously that's labor contract negotiations, but that is an issue. It's a very real issue for employees that are looking at a 2% increase, but knowing other departments are getting more. And also, bless you, and, you know, knowing that they're being paid less than comparables.
So what is the comp?
Bless you.
What is the comp increase this year?
2% for non-reps.
3%?
2.
Ooh.
3% for fire department, 4% for police.
Bless you. I think, you know, it's not just this year, it's a culmination, right? It's the compounding impact of not having the same kind of benefits and pay increases. So it's a morale issue for sure, and I know that it will only become more.
Was any further study done to examine benefits as well as salary, or was it just?
Yeah, we had a strategic group that talked about our benefits and stuff, and we had, I don't know, like 8 meetings or something with our brokers, and this was over the
I
course
think
of.
you mean the comp study though, right?
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
self-insurance.
No,
strategic
no, it
one.
was
It was just
strictly
wages
compensation, yeah, salary, not total benefit package.
In general, what is the objective for levy?
Ask that a different way. I said ask that a different way. What is why are we not increasing our levy to the full capacity?
Well, the
Or
budget.
what is our limit?
What is, yeah, well, what is the limit and what is the goal?
So,
Pay our bills. 500,000.
let me grab that.
In a percentage term.
That has been our biggest struggle.
For example, if the levy's going up 2% and wages are going up 4%, insurance is going up 5%, how does that work?
It doesn't, and that's why we're $1 million short.
Getting
Exactly.
shorter.
Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
getting worse.
Shrink. Well, and the problem is, and I'm sure you all know this, the amount of work does not shrink, right? But
Oh.
the amount of people and the amount of time to dedicate to this stuff just gets smaller, and so it's.
So our levy increase this
have-
year, keeping status quo with our debt service levy as it was last year, which we could increase, but that's an obvious tax. It's the 2.2% in net new construction, which equated out to about $529,000. And the police department alone, their personnel increase in 2026 was $640,000. That just shows you right there.
Yep.
Then I was approached to keep it at a less than 3% increase on the taxpayers, which reduced us another $100,000 of levy. So if we keep it at the status quo, we're looking at an average 3.4% on the tax increase. But to keep it at 2.9%, we can only increase our levy by about $450,000, which produces this $1 million shortfall.
How are we looking at our budget surplus for 5? Do you have any idea on that, what that might look
I do. That would be
because we've done, I mean, it seems like we've pretty much done that consistently.
we have consistently gone above our revenues and not spent all of our expenditures
Right.
either, right?
So at
I
some
just get
point,
concerned about our bond rating and
Right.
spending. I mean, we anticipated a roughly $1 million spend of our fund balance in 2025 for capital projects.
that gonna all materialize?
It already has.
CapEx.
Correct.
I guess the question there is where are we compared to our policy? On fund balance?
Significantly higher.
Still over?
Yes,
And I
even
guess
with
that's
some of
what-
the spend down that we've used, or that we've done in 2025 as far as budget amendments, spend downs, that.
Right.
I mean, I can have all that for the next meeting, but yeah.
I
those
continue to look
percentages
at that
are-
and I always kind of think, well, that's a tax that the taxpayers already paid,
Correct.
collected. Because we choose not to spend it or, you know, we have open vacancy, whatever. Simple form, you know, say, well, okay, return that to the taxpayer. not want to offset that or not increase current years. You've done that, you reviewed it, you approved it, you brought it in.
We're still within our policy.
Yeah, I wouldn't, rob that basket until there's nothing left. But I mean, if we're above our target range, back to your comment about the bond rating, I think that'd be the first thing I'd look at and say, well, wait a minute, okay, how much are you? But if you're just peeling off a little bit or still staying at or near the top of that target, I don't know.
Especially if we're expecting 27 from net new to be in a better situation. You're trying to know, but still
won't have one of this.
The biggest thing that I've had to converse with the mayor about is the net new construction numbers are based off of January 1, 2026. And if you think about what we have coming down the pipeline, there's nothing that any of us can think of that is such a significant build that will be 100% complete by 1/1/26. So we're looking at maybe, we have Yaskawa, we've got Potts General.
Yeah. So those
some of those are going to be in like 2028, 2029, depending on when they.
Yeah, so it's like when they go.
Correct. So there might be a tiny bit.
So we have a few
in 27,
years.
1/1/27,
But it's really 28. So we have. So the way to think about it from that standpoint is you have two. We think we have
two budget years, I would assume.
That we may have that situation.
Carmex is still.
And they're already full. It's still in the TIF for the next 20 years, but they've already received their full taxing payment.
Costco's not, right?
No.
No?
But there's the potential that some of these other big developments be required TIF funding, and that's the case. You'll see the net new construction for the 1 year, but as far as collecting the tax dollars, you're not going to see that. So.
Anyway, I just bring that up to kind of put in the back of mind. I think it all has to be kind of looked at global, but to the extent that we've collected and put those in, discussion appropriate. Use it as we move forward.
Personal opinion, something has to be cut. May not have to be a drastic cut in 2026. At your point, you have this excess fund balance at last percentage within the 30% or something. We have the ability to do that, but looking forward, it's in order to make that happen, still some cuts there.
Have you at least priced out my suggestion on eliminating spouses?
That has not been something that has been physically priced out yet.
Because there's bucks to be had there.
We're doing like the benefit,
Forced
like
to
if
your
you,
own, if you have your own.
where they get like, yeah.
Well, what I'm suggesting.
I think, excuse me, I think that Dana had looked at some of the numbers, and I have a feeling that it wasn't enough to move the needle, but I could be wrong, because I think that
I think it's
There's
been a
no
while
way
since
it
it's
is.
been
Yeah.
looked at.
Yeah, we can absolutely.
Well, you'd have to have a rate your employee plus children. And the spouse, really the responsibility of the company working for. If they're not employed, then they stay in.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
only
just saying cost out if
only if the spouse is working for someone else, because
That
that's
offers
really
insurance.
not our responsibility. That's the responsibility of their employer.
Right, and I know we had this conversation a little bit. I also know that there's other implications, though. So you're talking about a family paying potentially 2 deductibles, and that's a huge implication too.
or if they offer children.
And
Other-
then, and then what would you do if like the spouse loses their job or quits? Yeah, they have a
Well, then
COBRA,
they come back in.
but Is
If
that
they're
a
not,
valid,
if they're
effective
not employed, then
event?
they would be in the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, it is a light fee. But I mean, again, going back to the 2 deductibles, and that is an issue, and that's a 2 out-of-pockets, 2 premiums, so.
So you can charge, I know companies do charge in that situation, they do charge, if you want to get it, then they charge a premium on top, right? So
What do you mean?
like, if your normal premium is whatever it is, and you have access to, the spouse has access to insurance, but you want those scenarios, like you want a common deductible or whatever it is,
They opt
then
out of
they
that and
opt
wanna
out of
stay
it,
here.
and you're paying on this side at a higher rate. So there's a premium they add for the fact that you want to be on here. So we're picking up extra on those individuals.
We were talking about 2 coverage people.
No, it's the same coverage that you have now, but we're charging a higher premium because they had access to a different insurance, but they've declined that, and so to take this one, you charge an extra premium, and it tries to help offset the fact that.
Who is our insurance?
But as far as the deductibles, if your spouse would have a separate deductible, and a family and the employee would have another deductible, or if there's no deductible.
Well, I think what she's saying is that family plan is one, but typically it's.
You're all working
Harder.
towards the
Yeah.
same total amount. Right now, I've got 6 people on my medical plan. We all work towards the same deductible amount. If, let's say my husband had a job, so he does not have a job outside of the house, so we would stay how we are. But let's say he has a job outside of our house, and now he has insurance through his employer, and he also has a $3,000 deductible. That is not now, anything he spends
Right.
on that deductible does not count towards my family deductible, and now it's a significant negative impact to me.
It could be up to $3,000. That's where charging the premium. You're getting something, but it's not a $3,000 hit. Kind of like a bridge.
Right.
There's other programs where I work right now, it's if you don't take the insurance them and you can prove that you have insurance with your spouse, then they give you
extra
money at the end of the year.
Right.
So you have the choice. It's not that prohibiting me from having insurance at AAP. It's just I have the choice if I want to stay on my husband's insurance, show them the card. They're like, thank you. Here's, essentially it's like $100 a month.
Right.
$1,200 at the end of the year. But which is significantly less than the premium that would cost for that
Yeah, they
person to
would've
carry
paid,
along.
yeah.
But they don't have to not be on it. Their choice.
All right, so getting back to where we were, I think wrapping up insurance or discussion.
Such a lively discussion on insurance.
There's a lot of money there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, we
Cool
saved
kids are
a
nice.
significant amount.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Sure.
Over 100,000 at least.
Goes back into my old wheelhouse.
Moving to the capital, I think most of the capital discussions, like I said, we could probably move through this fairly quickly because most of the departments have all page. We'll
And
just start on
forewarned.
Let's start on 212.
Tab 8.
So the first page, 211, is library. Essentially, they fund all of their own capital unless it's more pertain to their buildings. So anything on 211 has already been included in their budget and accounted for. So 212 really starts our capital outlay fund. So I can just preface this by saying that all the requests you see here total about $38 million. And so determining the amount of borrowing the city can or wants to do, prioritize the projects that have been requested, really depends heavily on what is a very high priority for the city That could be a road versus carpet in the courtroom. I mean, it's just, it boils down to how much can the city borrow, what the capacity is on the debt service levy, and what that looks like as a tax increase over the next 20 years, now that the borrowing regulations have changed, and what the city, the finance committee, department heads all feel is a priority. So, Fund 41, the biggest, again, this is our capital outlay fund, the biggest revenue source in here is landfill siting. So determining landfill siting revenue, we do have some grant funds for the body camera that are coming in. We have some interest on investments, and then we have one transfer coming in, which is $62,000 that is supposed to cover the community paramedic vehicle. So we do have that in there. But really determining without borrowing any money in 2026, which is what the mayor would prefer, what can we afford? So going through these projects to determine priority department, we have come up with, you'll see 212 through 215 is essentially, there's the department request column and then the mayor's recommended budget column. If you guys have had a chance to look at this, I mean, we can certainly go through line by line what is right now included in the mayor's recommended budget.
I don't want to do line by line, but being close to Fleming, I've noticed that somebody drives around with like a machine that does kind of take the weeds out, I guess, of the field. And I'm noticing here the baseball grooming machine, third line from the bottom, 62,000. And I was thinking of the landscaping.
Instead of a grooming machine?
Would that be?
I don't know.
As a
but that is a.
It's a great
after
idea to look into,
right?
though,
These
I
are
mean.
conversations we're going to have with department heads after the finance committee meetings. So.
And I'm glad that you stated that because that did jar in my very non-existent short-term memory a conversation I had with our facilities superintendent. And one of the things that he said is he would prefer if one department, for example, DPW or something, would have all the tools. He doesn't see it as making sense to have his own set of tools. We're looking to save money when he will only need to borrow like something or use it for one day or something like that. So he's like, can we put my tool funds over to DPW so that way we can obtain more tools that are needed. But I will be checking it out and sharing it like a library.
Who's this?
Joe Chitko, he was here last week to
Okay.
talk about building,
buildings.
building maintenance.
Would that follow with a vehicle as well, or no?
That's a good question. I don't know how many DPW vehicles we have, and if we have one that that he could utilize. But I mean, I know we've got other departments here that have vehicles too. So I guess it's. I don't know what his need is. It was not.
It sounded more like a pickup for like mulch.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that they could assist. But yeah, it was just an obvious focus on collaborating and gathering and using resources appropriately.
Okay.
So yeah, he just had asked if we could put the 1,300, is that what it was, right? The budget into the DPW budget for both departments to use.
So just getting back to the question, the base.
Mm-hmm.
So how often are they doing that right now?
Doing.
The
I wish we
grooming
did these conversations when they were here.
Yeah,
right?
because-
I didn't see the
Because
thing until.
I'll be
I mean,
honest,
they're more
I
just
don't
talking
know
about the
that I've-
requests versus.
Yeah.
I'm around at least two.
Versus operations. right?
And I don't know that I've ever seen them groomed at all.
Because I don't think we have one. So this
But it
is.
says it's like that they're
Oh.
doing it by hand, and I'm.
Oh, got it. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I've seen a tractor pull like a chain thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they'll
But it
hook
could
it
be
on
the
back
women's
of one of
doing
those
it, I don't know.
Yeah.
trucks or
So
the car.
well, but
Or the.
Remming is county though. So
Oh,
they
there you
they'll
go.
have different equipment.
Okay.
But this is a very long ongoing and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, if something has changed, but from my time on Parks Commission, it was this, especially now that they don't really rent the diamonds anymore. So we used to rent all the diamonds out for like Little League practice and whatnot. We don't really do that anymore because
And you
people
could
just
reserve them, right?
yeah. It's not that we can't. It's that people just aren't, reserving them and asking for it.
Schools
They're
have
just
their own
sort,
now.
they're just sort of doing their own thing. So because of that,
When did that change?
Yeah.
it's but
Because I used to have to pay for one. That's why I'm
oh,
asking.
I know
Exactly.
exactly. No, I know.
we
Well,
used
I've
to
only been on
coach.
parks for a few years, and I transitioned off. But this was like last spring when we were talking about fees and rentals and whatnot. You'll get it soon because it's almost time to open that up again. But so.
Well, there's a few bucks we're not.
They because of that, the maintenance of that just starts to slide down the priority list because there's so many other things that they have to maintain. And so I will say that there is a gentleman who lives near one of the diamonds in District 5 who calls me a lot because that one is not kept up. But it's so far down on the totem pole because no one's really using the diamond.
Where are they?
Hmm?
Where are they?
Whereas what?
Those diamonds.
They're kind of all over. So
They're in all the local.
there's one off of 68th. There's
Quarry Park.
There's
Yeah.
one in Lions Legend on this side. There's one in Lions Legend on the other side.
yeah in the smaller parks.
But if nobody's renting them,
Yeah. So is that so? Long story short, yes, they do just go through and
They're
like rate
using them,
it by
they're just
hand.
not renting them.
Right.
but I'm saying if nobody's
There-
renting them,
there's
why have them?
Nobody's managing the rentals of those courts, and we don't have staff member to do that. So ultimately, the group that is running the recreation that would normally be through the city is actually through the high school, and they're the ones that are managing all of that.
Well, that used to be done through the clerk's office.
The park rentals as a whole, yes, and they still do it. I just don't know.
That's for the pavilion.
I don't think they
Correct.
do. Yeah, they do the pavilion
They
rental.
used to do the diamond.
Yes.
Yeah, they usually
yes.
do
Oh,
that.
did they really?
They coached for
Okay.
30 years, so
Yeah.
I had a lot of money invested in it.
Yes.
Stop in there and you
Same
talk
here.
to them about
They're
it.
saying it's not that they don't
I don't know
physically
what
do
they
it;
are.
it's that people
Yeah.
have not been reserving them. They still
I get it.
can and would prefer people to rent them, but that's just not what's been happening the last several years.
Yeah, they
Right.
And I'm
Organizing it on the side so they
Yeah.
don't have to pay rent.
Yes, exactly.
Which
And
I
then
mean,
and the maintenance, they'll hook a chain drag on the back of the zero turn and zip it around a couple times. Versus if there's a specific rental and you know that it's being used 3 days in a row and it rained yesterday, well, we gotta go out and I don't think there's that kind of priority.
No, not at all.
no, there's really. I mean, I think, and this changed. I want to say with the change from tennis courts to pickleball, and then all of a sudden it exploded, and everybody is pickleball courts everywhere.
Do we rent the pickleball courts?
Everywhere.
Oh, God.
I think we probably
Yes.
Yes.
should. I mean, I thought we were, but
There's a
again, nobody's doing it.
it's a sticky point because the reservation process is all
It's not defined. It's not well
yeah
defined.
it's not like there's no delineation between like, hey, I just like to show up and play versus no, we're the only ones that are playing at this time at this court for 3 hours, and it's because it's not defined, it's kind of the Wild West in that regard.
It's a multitude of issues. You have a planning department that provides the staffing to the Parks Commission, right? And Parks also then, as a department, falls under DPW. And then the recreational programs that are related to these courts are handled through the district, the school district. You have all these players. We don't have a system of that planning. Oh, and then clerks too, by the way, for renting it.
So you don't have a system where you can go to one place and just
Get a
sign up
defined
and
answer.
and then just move forward, and that's the problem. I know that in years past, the planning department had asked for, I think it was like a zone hub or something. There was a permitting application component of something that they were looking to do, a software program. And that would have helped, but it is because you've got clerks, which I forgot, clerks, planning, parks, which is also DPW, and the school district, and I may have forgotten another player in all of this. Maybe the Treasury Department for payments and all of that. So you got 5 people and 5 entities, and not a single group wants to take the lead on it.
But it's lost revenue.
It is lost revenue.
I mean, you could easily clear whatever you brought in for system-wise, you could clear that and some.
100%.
Well, it's not
So
just
nothing on
lost
the
revenue,
website right
it's
now?
expensive.
No.
No,
So, like,
it's
basically
like
that's
it's,
what it
it's
is.
like
I
you
think,
can print out your paper applications for things. This is my
Literally
this
come in
is-
on January 2nd, there will be a line out this door of people waiting to do the park pavilion rentals. I'm not kidding.
Really?
It is
Absolutely.
pandemonium.
And-
Clerks come in early and there's a line around this building.
And we have a problem with the park rentals too, because the whatchamacallit pavilion, the most rented one, has to come down. It's so beyond maintenance. We have to figure out what we're gonna do, if we're going to demo it or if we fix it. But
The old fire
Well, prior to
Is that
that,
in here?
this is something
Technically
that
not.
was a
$150,000, but to be, I don't want to say wrap this up or anything, but just our biggest discussion was what is in this is what we can afford today. With just the revenue coming in. There have been some large projects that we know are going to be priority, that are going to be coming down the pipeline in mid 2026. And so our conversation was, do we move forward with what we have right now and determine at the point of when we're going to do Drexel and how high of a priority that is for Costco and what the timeline is there, instead of borrowing at the beginning of the year for all these capital projects and then borrowing again mid-year for Drexel. It's let's take what we have right now, get moving forward on some of the projects with the money that we know is coming in, and then at that time do one lump sum of, okay, we can borrow this much, this is going to be the impact on the taxes, we're going to knock out all of these projects with the max that we can borrow and move forward that way.
Right.
So it's kind of, so again, not to say that no project is a priority over the other in this budget right this moment, but it's, let's adopt what we have, what we can afford. And if there's something that needs to move, like for example, I think in here is the metal detectors. Well, the mayor's adamant to take that out, so we have an extra $11,000 we can use on a different project. Kind of maneuvering some things here and there, but just moving forward with what we can, and then reevaluating the debt planning kind of mid-year when we know that some of those other projects aren't going to be coming forward, and add priority projects at that point based on what we know that we can borrow.
I would recommend, now that I heard everybody tonight, 3 different large departments about the carpet piece, I would say I mean, if there's anybody that all 3 of you had in common, call them back and be like, hey, could we get a discount if we did all 3 of them together? I mean, I know library has their own budget or whatever, but I mean, to do 3 large spaces, I think you could get a lot more bang for your buck than
Or
just the little spots.
somebody else's.
Yeah,
Right.
add to
Well,
the list.
and to that end, the superintendent of the building maintenance, and I had spoken again today about just consolidating these contracts. Let's get one vendor for each specialty that we contract out. And then they go to all of the buildings, because they're all our buildings. You know, it's the same owner, so let's start treating it the same. The problem is that we've not had a procurement department, so it's like willy-nilly, and then everything's been siloed. So it's just trying to make sense of this and bring it all together. He's on board, and he's already started to work that piece out, which is great because he's got some very strong partnership going with the utilities department and DPW because he's worked in both. So it's awesome because he's got very great knowledge and partnerships with different people. So that way he's a great one to really lead consolidating them. The other thing that we had talked about is capitalizing all of the boiler issues that we're having. I know there's many over at PD. I know we've had them, and then he's going to look into getting quotes for that stuff too. So he wants to start looking at how can we obviously do things more consolidated.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to make sense to have the judge
No.
looking at individual carpet installation. It's like, they can go over, look at it, assess it, measure it, and, hey, this is the time period we want window, when can you be out of here, whatever.
Right.
So what's going to happen. And the same thing with the others, move them all simultaneously.
It's literally a matter of having like all department heads that are impacted in the same room talking about what you want and having one representative from whatever vendors provide one quote for all of it.
And then for the budgetary side of it, I feel like you kind of have two choices. Do you leave what's in here right now with the anticipation of us all meeting? Or do you try and scramble, right, and get something before the adopted budget? My recommendation would be obviously leave what's in here, and then once it's done, or once we get the final quotes, we can always move that funding to contingency or something to free it up for another department, not just leave it.
Right, 100%. Yeah, do it that way.
So on the IT items, the moving, I think we need to really seriously look at the move to the data center. Because we have that replacement, we have the capital replacement, right, at 250, I'll call it
So everything that
250,000.
he presented is in the mayor's recommended budget, but unless you're speaking of something separately.
Yeah, there was an alternative in here.
Oh,
So
yes,
he
the
had
alternative.
the capital,
The
so we either spend
242?
that or we spend the 279, so it's essentially 23,000 a month. But then you've handed off all the
Headaches.
hardware, all that stuff to a third party, and it's redundant, and we don't have, like, if the floods or whatever, we don't have, it's not sitting here. So there's a whole bunch of things like cooling, all that kind of stuff. You've handed all off, and all the day-to-day, like break fix, all that kind of stuff, you hand it off as well.
So
There's
does
a
that
huge
eliminate
amount.
anything? that's
Yeah,
already
Well,
in
it
there?
would eliminate a huge headache for him.
Well,
Yeah,
it gets
but
rid
But
of
no,
the,
doesn't it get rid of switches or something?
it
or
gets rid of the
fan?
3-part stand replacement, 242,000, that's in the capital.
But it would increase it to 280.
It would go to 280, but it's a hosting, so
It's
technically it
huge.
shows up on the operating side. But you should start seeing savings off of other things because like cooling and other things, you don't have those, and you don't have the electricity and all that other stuff. So there's going to be offsets on both sides of that. So it's not like you're just gonna pay 23. There's going to be other things that decrease off of that.
Well, the reality is, as well, though, is it offers up space that we continually buy because we physically are holding it and we're running out of space, right? Because we're doing
Correct.
all these backup tapes, so it
And-
provides that. But key is the disaster relief. If this building, if something happens, we are in trouble.
I'm just concerned about adding an extra $280,000 to the operational side when we afford the
Well, here's the thing:
We do
is
it
one,
1 year in
but
capital,
that's
but
that's assuming you start in January. Like if you actually think about it, it takes a little bit to get to this. So you could decide, hey, we're going to target to start in June or July or whatever, and it's only for this first year, it's only half of it. It's going to take time to plan it and contract it and all that kind of stuff. So you
you're
could
not gonna
plan,
spend that whole month.
plan that you're going to try to get there by July 1st or something like that, and it's only half that year. And then the second part of this is then you have the migration that's going to be happening to cloud, right? And you have to do that. That's going to start stepping out all the technology. That's going to start going away, which means you have to make sure when you contract this that you have the step downs in there. So technically, over time, that's going to get less and less as you're moving into the other areas. So
Okay, you
this
lost me
allows you
there.
to stay.
You had me all the way up to that part.
So
Now I'm
as
like,
you're moving to the Microsoft 365 and right,
Yep.
and more vendors are going to
Offer
cloud
use,
offerings,
yeah.
right? The
Right.
police department, all. So right now, all of that is sitting in this 23,000. So as you start to move individual components to those cloud offerings, you don't need it anymore in this offering. So you should have it in your contract that you
That's
can
what he
start
was saying.
pulling things out.
Right, it's
and
like
you can
taking
step
your
down.
phone and backing up your games, but
And
if
then-
you have an account, you can easily go to
Right.
it.
And so if this is 23,000, let's say something big, all of a sudden we move over to, you start
Planning.
doing that in the cloud, like the police department stuff or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah, yep. And so all of a sudden, instead of being 23, it's 18 or 16 or whatever. And so it'll allow you flexibility. Whereas if you've spent money to get a SAN or whatever here and all this technology, if you start moving stuff away, it's just some cost. You're not freeing it up, and you're not going to rent it. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
before they're bought.
Correct. We have a big.
Right.
You're at a point where you have a big expense you have to do again, and
And an even bigger decision that has implications throughout the years.
correct. So I think you're at a point where it's the right time to make that switch, and that's just on the contracting side how you set that up.
And 100%, that's exactly where the director would like things to go as well. I know the 1,000-year flood was kind of a wake-up call in a lot of ways for our emergency response, but also for redundancies. You don't really have it.
And the other one that was in here that shows up on the operating side was the when we were questioning on the GIS. So there's a lot of firms that do GIS that do.
I was very concerned about the significant increase for half the.
There is a
work that we're
lot
doing.
of firms that do that. There's big firms and smaller firms. I can get you a list to start with. Like that is an area we should totally be able to
Push back and
push
find
back
some
and
savings.
bid out or whatever. And
Yep. Because, I got an email from the owner today about meeting, and we were talking about potentially next week talk about what his concept was about his rates and talking about that a little bit further. But yeah, if you've got some, off the top of your head, a couple of
ArcGIS, that's one of the big ones that are out there, and there's lots of firms.
Okay, yeah.
And like I said, that's why I kept asking, but you're telling me we're paying an extra 30, 40 grand more for 16 hours less?
Yeah, your rate like over doubled. Yeah, correct.
Right.
That was a big red flag going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're getting less and we're spending more.
Oh, that was the other thing I was gonna mention. So like the hosting, so there's like the VMware, the price went up on that and everything. So as you start to move into the third party location,
Right.
those are all the things that you may be able to over time start to get rid of too.
Or negotiate.
Because right now you're gonna rent space and you still need to run all your software. But for example, when you start running servers, I don't want to get real technical here, but when you start running servers in like the Microsoft platform, right, which is called Azure. So if you ran them there, you may not need the VMware licenses. That's why like Broadcom is starting to raise the prices, because in some spaces the market's going away. So this is where you're going to have puts and takes as you're going, and if you're kind of thoughtful about it, you should be able to.
Right.
Well, you're going to have increase in cost because technology price has been going up, but you should be able to help mitigate a lot.
Yeah.
So I was
thinking about.
I was happy to see in here that the strategic direction is to kind of move that way.
That has been his strategic direction too, and I think it's the cost that has been, obviously, the operational expenses where we continually find issues, and so that was the reason why he had not included it. But I know the last 2 years that we've talked about it, he's mentioned those things, and it was very much a conversation of, are we going to continue to invest in this technology that I don't recommend we continue to use? Or are we going to have this offsite hosting and have emergency disaster relief sort of piece to it, but also just from the standpoint of this is the way everything is going, and the physical expense and space for all of the physical that we need that could be taken from the cloud would be another needed benefit, really.
And then the last thing I would say to it is, if you move that stuff over there, all the time that's spent on
backups.
Well, no, on having to fix things, right? Like like he gets pulled into those things. Other people you are constantly getting pulled into the right. You've handed that off. That means that they have more time to spend on the things that are the higher value that you need to get done. And so what's happening is, as those things happen, you are continuously delaying or taking a lot longer to get projects and things done because they don't have the availability. That costs you money.
Right.
So you need
Rid of those small fires.
correct, and you got to
Right.
hand that stuff off.
Right, exactly, and I agree 100%. He spends way too much time dealing with the piddly stuff that he could hand off and spend more time doing like this migration and that sort of thing. And to play off of that, because it sparked another thought in my mind. When we were last here on Thursday, and we were talking about open records requests, I did that day start looking into services, because I think when you start adding up the amount of time from personnel, and then now we're including PD in it, because kind of had this narrow scope of just clerk doing it. So now I'm looking at comparing the two, and we're talking about the clerk's time is substantial that she spends on this and needing to bring in the deputy clerk. Why aren't we looking at how much it would cost to do a service? There's a ton of services. It would probably be significantly more efficient too. And when we want to look at actual numbers, we can pull reports with ease versus what we're doing right now, which is very painful. And I know that we have, anecdotally from what the clerk has told me, we have an enormous amount of open records requests compared to any other municipality. Maybe going this route will start to reduce them. And to the permits for the park, I also know that we have recognized and spoken about the pain points for the license committee, and that's another thing that I would like to absolutely start looking at, potentially moving also to online, where you can go through a series of questions and then you're red, you're like green light, go. If you have things that are coming up as a no, then you have extra time. I mean, I know that our 3 council members spend hours upon hours every council week dealing with that. It shouldn't be. We should be able to reduce the amount of time by using programs that already exist. And I think that could create efficiencies, and it would also allow us more time to provide to analyzing how we can increase our revenue too. I mean, the cost of events that we charge, like $100 for 1,000 people, or 100 people. It's ridiculous.
The other thing with this potential service consolidation, I think another area too, there's open records going to have the technology to go with it. If we're set up an electronic or an outside service, I mean, whether they do it in the city of Franklin or the whole southern side of Milwaukee County, it's probably not going to really matter. They're going to have the expertise and the wherewithal versus us trying to figure out how to do it one by one by one. Just by deal.
Right. I mean, and it's a lot. I mean, one open records request, it can be very far-reaching. Example, I had one that was like going 10 years back, and then you have, let's say, 5 different people, and during 10 years, that's a long time for records, depending on the information too. Talking about a lot of records. Once those records are pulled by the IT director, who's currently the only person that knows how to do that, so that's his time too. One request took 4 hours of our IT director's day to pull. And then on top of that, let's say it generates on average 20,000 records, right? Because every time an open records request is made, all those records add back into the records. So it's exponential, and it just keeps, and then all 8 people that received this email and all of the replies, the 10 replies, it just keeps growing. So now she's got to go through and read every single one of those 20 to make sure that it is responsive or not responsive to the open records request.
there's got to be an easier way. I know there's an easier way, and I think that it would be a very, very important for us, kind of critical to really look into trying to create efficiencies here, because this is a big pain point. And to your point, our IT director cannot even dedicate any time to open records requests. So we have a backlog now. And then we have lawsuits that we have to drop everything and provide. And it's been painful because the IT director is basically busy through the end of the year with this Microsoft migration.
Yeah, you really need getting back to what she was talking about, the custodian, you really need somebody like that. You're either contracting that or you bring somebody in, and that's what they do. Because that, whether it's you open records or it's related to legal matter, right, all that kind of stuff, it's the same processes that you're using.
Right. Yeah, and sharing those with all departments. Obviously, there's two that we know of, right, that significantly use it. Why not use the same person to do the PD and the rest of it, the city's remaining records, because it's really no different. But again, it is when you're looking at adding a new position, and you still have the other person doing it without a lead. I like that idea. I think there's no reason why we wouldn't combine those two.
Would it be too much to maybe have the position subsidized by another that also will the same services? I'm just thinking of how to fund it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone gets nearly the amount of requests that we do, and so just the amount alone, the sheer volume is what makes it problematic.
Okay.
And I don't think we have anybody that's like us. But for real though, for real. I mean, especially when it comes to that. I know that the clerk's gotten a request like 7 days by the end of one day, or 7 different requests in one day.
From the same person or different?
She gets the same people requesting stuff, yeah. But okay, so I did say, I corrected myself. It was, she gets an incredible amount of requests, and to spend time, and it's necessary, it's something we have to do, but why have her doing it?
Yeah, she's other.
Right. So I think it makes a ton of sense to combine at least that request a position for the PD and an open records custodian or something. Also, to your point, last week, following, I think it was Friday, so after we had our last meeting, the inspection services director had sent out an email. Hills Corners and Greendale are looking to consolidate inspection services and come to us.
Which you speak, right?
Yes. So we will be moving forward with, I mean, obviously, why wouldn't we do that?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to look at
Well, and for them, if it's just a per diem stipend or whatever, I mean, it probably makes all the sense to them, because they can't try and staff this and manage it, and 1 week it's 10 and the next week it's 0, and
right, and they don't have the kind of growing communities that we have. But I think, and I can't remember if we talked about this or not, with the health, it's the same thing, when there was a health officer that had left Hills Corners, they had rehired, but there's these opportunities that do exist in our neighboring villages where I think as long as we are the one absorbing, it's a-okay. If we're like the smaller fish in the pool, then it's a problem. But I think if we can contract out with other departments, share those services, and we are keeping our departments, I think that would be, obviously that would be really ideal situation for us. So anytime you're hearing anybody talk about that.
Reimbursements are adequate.
What's that?
As long as our cost reimbursements are adequate.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So,
here now.
unless there's any other discussion on Fund 41.
One comment if I could.
Yep.
The capital outlay fund, last Tuesday, my department, my staff presented a couple of requests that weren't originally funded. A morsel of good news, the night or the day after we presented the proposal for the fitness equipment for the 3 fire stations, we did get notified we got our federal grant for that. So it's not a huge amount, but about 65,000 that
Hey, that helps.
that we won't have to, that can be, kind of taken out of that request. So that a little bit, like I said, a small morsel of good news. But then I also wanted to advocate for, I think, I don't know if Judge, we're going to talk about the capital improvement plan, but just to advocate for our fire station, fire facilities needs analysis. We're going to be in front of the Board of Public Works on Thursday to start an emergency public works project to remediate the mold at Station 1, and the timing of the whole thing, that it's kind of funny to hear that the old Ken Wendell that used to be an old Franklin Fire Station looking at being torn down. Fire Station 1 is going to be soon in disrepair with the mold remediation, a bunch of drywall being pulled, not sure exactly the extent. But again, the timing of the potential project, we are really cramped for space at all 3 of our stations. The fact that Station 1 is going to have demolition work done and be in a state of disrepair, I would hate to have our department take care of that remediation, refurnish it, new carpeting, redo everything, and then a year later come back to you and say, hey, by the way, that station that we just remodeled, it's too small. So that's just my ask with the timing of it, really, that we strongly consider that proposal. I have met, or my staff and I have met with a couple of companies that do this kind of work. They can come out, they take a look at the whole building, all the systems, the shell, the whole thing, and give us a breakdown. They would give the council a breakdown of all the different options, what would be the most fiscally responsive. And for the alders that are in the room, obviously just because the project was funded at $355,000 doesn't mean that we are on the hook to spend the whole $355,000. If we do the study and it comes out to say, hey, we could knock out a wall and do a small remodel project, it may be a fraction of that amount. But just wanted to advocate for, it's really the importance of the timing of that request.
Just curious, Chief, are they looking at replacing the drywall or not replacing it, or replacing it with something that doesn't get moldy?
Currently there's an option to replace it, just to put it back in the state that it's in now. But certainly we could look at any options that would be better.
Wouldn't it make sense not to replace the drywall if there's an issue?
And that would be exactly kind of what we're looking at. Right now we only have funding to remediate the mold and not do any replacement of anything. So we'll probably be working in 2x4s for at least the rest of the year.
Cement sword.
Yeah.
Just leave it open. Or industrial. That way you get airflow.
And that's what we need, an expert, kind of expert opinion to come in and weigh in on.
You enclose an area, you're getting cold.
Chief, I don't know, Dennis was just making a comment about the whole relocation in a trailer for the time being. What is the option to go to Ken Wendell instead?
That's
We did do a tour of that facility, and PW Parks does have a lot of items that are stored there, so it wouldn't be a quick move to move in. The other concern is that there is a roof.
It's already a problem.
There is a roof leak there as well, so it is a potential option, but may not be real quick, or may not be ideal or as easy as we think it would be.
Well, and I think we're just kind of like trading one problem for another with that. So Ken Wendell needs extreme assistance in getting it back up and running. So you're going to leave something that's got mold to go into another area that probably has mold as well. And then we're talking about demoing it or fixing it. And it's almost like the same question and issue with Fire Station 1, and it's simultaneous. So I think kind of what we were talking, I wouldn't recommend it for those reasons. And I think what we were talking about before the Ken Wendell piece was renting a trailer on site for the course of whatever kind of, whether it's, full on remodel or an expansion or just renovation.
But you have some capacity at 2 and 3 also,
We
right?
can, yeah, it'll be a combination. We'll be moving administrative staff to a different station. The battalion chiefs likely will be moving to a different station. It's simply the core of 4 people that staff the fire engine and paramedic unit that we would be looking to stay somewhere in this area, the northwestern part of the city, to provide coverage. So we're still exploring different options.
Roll in the RV.
No.
Hey, they got little ladders on the back, right?
Library Phaedra room? Or the.
Yeah, right.
I took a look at the house that the city
Yeah.
just
Oh, there you
purchased
go.
over on Loomis too. The drawback there is it's really not a good location for our vehicles. And during the winter, that would be a bit of a concern, either having them outside or in a temporary structure. Greenfield Fire Department did that when they renovated one of their stations. They had problems with freezing and cold weather. But at this point, anything's on the table.
Is where the fire trucks are stored, that's climate controlled?
Correct. So
Currently?
and currently the garage area or the vehicle area of the station that we're in now is still functional. It's not affected by the mold. We could still operate that. For a lot of the things out of the vehicle area, it would just be the crew quarters would need to be in a temporary housing. A lot of other fire departments have done it, but it's not inexpensive, unfortunately.
Yeah, and and you might have touched on this already, so I apologize if you have. One of the conversations that I know the mayor has brought up a number of times with me about the fire stations is looking at, instead of a fire station 4, looking at going bigger and remodeling station 1. Is that something that you're adding to the design, like as an option or whatever to look at?
So yeah, the study that we did in 2022 that looked at a fire station 4 at DPW, the headquarters and administration were slated to be moved there.
Mm-hmm.
And then fire station 1 was going to be remodeled just for the crew that operates out of there. Right now we're at a point where the sequencing of it, both of those are going to be needed at some point. With the growth of the city on the southern end, we will need to look at potentially a fire station 4. I think right now we're seeing that the resources might be more urgently needed at fire station 1.
Mm-hmm.
And keeping the administration and headquarters on the city campus here does have some advantages to it, as opposed to placing the administration at by the DPW. So both the timing and the practicality of it, it may make Station 1 a little bit more of a priority. And I would propose having a group of elected fire department staff and potentially some citizen engagement as well to look at all those options to say which we want to tackle first.
Right.
And the other option too is with Fire Station 1 and the development that's being both proposed and has taken place in the northwest portion of the city, potentially use of impact fees as part of the project as well.
Yeah, and that's been in the back of my mind too, the park impact fees. I know that there are restrictions on those.
Right.
So like the Ken Wendell, we can't pull funds to fix it from the park impact fees, but there's other options. Demo and rebuild maybe. Yes. Yeah, it's the new part, but yeah, I just out of curiosity, would like to be able to see that as an option too. I also know that when you say DPW, are you talking about operating out of the same building that's
No.
already tight? Okay.
And I should
Talking about the
clarify,
land over there?
the master plan for that site, Department of Public Works has just completed their expansion. That would allow them to vacate some of the very, very old buildings that are out towards the front of the property. And the master plan for the site those old buildings would be leveled, and they would open up space for a new fire station on that property.
Okay.
Just west of the intersection.
Correct, yep.
Not on the intersection, but west of.
You know, with the discussions of the development near there, and also the ability to basically go all four directions from that intersection, it is a really attractive location for a fire station. There was a fire station there in the 1950s, early 60s. There was a Franklin fire station. I think it's actually one of the old buildings property.
Wait, where again?
So
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yes.
I'm like, wait a minute, I think you might have lost me. The DPW?
The DPW property
Okay.
near 80th and Ryan.
Right,
Okay.
They have a bunch of old buildings out towards the front or north side of the property as you drive by. And there was, one of those was previously used as a fire station.
I don't.
Yeah, I can't picture it either. I just picture
What
the
year?
building, but okay.
So actually, if you go in the mayor's office, there's a photo of,
Okay.
of the
Yeah.
old station, and that's where it used to be partially for the snow plows and partially for the fire engines. Back when
Okay.
Franklin
Okay.
was a volunteer department, 50s, 1960s.
Probably where the
Before my
Oshkosh is parked down.
So you may be right, yeah. So it's kind of funny how history repeats itself that we're looking at possibly going back there.
Well, maybe we can add a huge fire station / senior center / civic building, and then we can claw back our 10 grand that's been requested.
In our kind of spitballing of designs, a community room was in order with the amount of
Right.
classes that we do with the public. Having a community room would not be out of the question.
Yeah.
Well, the school district will have theirs coming online here shortly.
There you go, yeah.
The other thing is that will all be new roadway at that particular location, hopefully sooner than later. Just as a sideline. Access involved.
We did. The GIS department did some drive time maps from 76 and Ryan, and it was pretty eye-opening. The areas of the city that we would be able to get to faster from that location. You know, it's kind of a chess game moving a fire station. Obviously, you're moving it away, a little bit further away from some neighborhoods, but on the other hand, you're putting it closer to others. We're trying to keep a keen eye on where our call volume is projected and where it's going to be in the next 10 plus years.
All right, anything else? Thank you for that.
So, I think that again, preface the conversation already with potential borrowing later on. So, page 216, the equipment replacement fund. It does show that the only request for 2026 was all DPW. We only had about $685,000 in revenue to work with, so determining that a prior conversation with both Kevin, myself, and the mayor was to essentially put our names down for 2 replacement dump trucks. I think the lead time had been 36 to 48 months. However, he was able to find 2 of them that he could put our name down for and get them by 1/1/26. So in doing that, that's what used up the majority of the 2026 equipment replacement funding. The rest, we had $35,000 to work with, so I put it towards the floor scrubber. But again, I think the conversation we had on Thursday and previously with department heads is maybe allocating a certain amount of funding to a specific department and letting them choose what they feel that they could use that money on. So for right now, again, we're going to leave it as it is, but Kevin said he may look at potentially using that funding for something else if something comes up. So that one's pretty self-explanatory. 217 is the capital improvement plan. Funding sources typically in this capital improvement fund is borrowings. We do have $183,000 in landfill siding revenue that we have allocated here. So that really left us with not a lot. It left us with a contingency and some money for street lighting. But again, I think our conversation now just with the chief and again, the borrowing, leaving it as it is, and determining what projects will take priority when we determine the funding from the GO bond in later this.
So the lighting replacement, so I'm assuming that's swapping out like the new LED lighting.
Correct.
So how much of that do we have? And how much does 68,000, like, I'm just trying to get an idea of like, what's the runway?
Yeah. I think there's
Yeah,
a-
like how far, are we getting like 3 done, or are we doing like, you know?
3 or 30.
Make like 1%, or what is that? Because I'm assuming then there's an operational reduction cost with that too. They're much more efficient.
I'm looking in the public works area because I know we have a write-up on street lighting, and I don't know if maybe there's something in there.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, Kevin probably knows more. What I can say is, looking at what we've spent this year so far, about $50,000. It looks like the lights.
We also had a different, and I think this is separate from another light replacement program that they had for the corporate park. Is it not?
Yeah, so they're just not replacing the ones in corporate park. So it all depends on the size of the lights. But I don't know, again, that's something that I can talk to
Yeah,
Kevin
because
about.
if we just
like,
get an
how
idea of
much-
like how much do we have left to replace, and then how much is this, just to get an idea of like
So,
how long of this
we
will take us.
have enhanced street lighting provided in 18 different locations. We lease the street lights at the intersections from We Energies, and then
Which page?
it's page 147.
Yeah, so those are the operational streetlights, the
Right.
cost to run
Yeah.
them.
I'm trying to see like if there's anything in this that indicates provides any answers to what you're asking.
Yeah, and I,
you just
like I said,
find
I can
out,
reach
you
out
just
to
find
Kevin.
out.
So what you want to know, how many lights still need to be replaced, and then
Yeah, how many lights do we have that have not been? Maybe there's a couple, right? How many have been replaced to date? What's the total number of lights that we have? How much have been replaced, and how to date? And then how much what does it roughly cost to do one? So we got an idea of like.
So we have 2015 street lights today.
Okay.
We rent 870 from We Energies, or lease them, if you will.
Yeah.
So add that to the two. Those are the amount.
So that's just how much ever.
Okay.
And then there's the 18 that were the focus
Yeah.
for those enhanced lights. But where we are at in terms of.
I'll ask Kevin, and then to
Okay.
the point, I essentially, to be honest, I just said, this is all, we have $185,000, and every request is well over that, so what are we gonna do? Like I said, putting it into contingency just kind of allows us to not have to come back for a budget amendment, it just allows us to shift
Yep.
throughout the year.
Yep.
And the $125,000 for the pedestrian bridge, through conversation, that was kind of it's a priority, but if something else is more priority, you can not use it for that. They can go another year or two.
Just like keeping
And then
it
the rest
closed
was
or
just like I
whatever.
said, street lights. Like from past conversation, Kevin said, "Well, if you don't fund it, then we just continue to have the lights that we have, right? So whatever you give me, I will replace the amount of street lights that I can with the money that you give." So that's the only logic that I have for
And-
68,000 in there.
And that brings up one more point. What do we save when we swap them out? So essentially, if we swap out what's out there and we're putting in LED, there's a
Cost
savings,
savings.
right? Like what is it? Because
Yeah, we've
Do you
gone
know
through that
somebody-
before, but it's not as substantial as you might think of.
no, it's not going to be. It's going to add up over the life of it. It's not like
Yeah.
you're going to find a bunch of money in one.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it's a course of the life of the product.
Correct.
Too bad we didn't have someone at We Energies that could like provide us with those kind of real number rates.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, so
But-
that's
I work
that
in
one.
IT.
And a little something I want to throw out here too, just as a note. So a little tiny footnote on the street lighting is keep in mind that in 2024, 2025, and 26 and future years, we continue to add street lights. So we've got Cape Crossing, we've got Highway 100 added lights, the construction that we have going on to increase as well.
Yeah, usually when we're putting developments in, they're not in rural area where they don't want lighting.
Right. So the next one is the street improvement fund. I think it's a surprise that we're not keeping pace with the amount of funding that we have to replace and repair our streets at the same rate that the Pacer report says. But with the general transportation aid, and then the extra $300,000 that coming from the tax levy to support the streets, we are able to fund $2.5 million in the street improvement program. And then I did get the preliminary preliminary general transportation aid numbers last week, which increased about $30,000, but I think for ease of the general fund budget, we're just going to allocate that to the general fund instead of to the street improvement fund for this year. Like I said, $1 million deficit, $36,000 can go somewhere, so we're doing that this year. So that is all for the street improvement program. And then sewer, there's a lot of sewer projects that are priority. This year, the fleet program and the special assessment extensions are the two main ones that have made the budget. The trunk lines were a priority, and then the SCADA software updates, and that's just based on income. I know that some of the bigger projects are no's for right now, with anticipation of, like I said, there's some further conversations between us, Glenn, and Mike in engineering to determine what can wait, what can't, and how much funding we have. So that is all you'll see in the sewer capital fund. I don't know if you want to go through the preceding years or if we just want to move. Yeah, I think it's
Step
just
overhead.
it's a lot of asks and trying to determine where we're going to get the funding from.
So who's playing the lottery tonight?
Yeah.
As if you would give it to the city. I think it makes sense to accept things so that way we can move forward to look at mid-year borrowing and that sort of thing, and make a very educated smart borrowing for what we're going to be needing. It's definitely one of those situations where it always seems like something comes up. And
yeah, so I think for ease of time, I think the TIDS and the debt and the levy rates can probably move to Wednesday if you guys are okay with that.
Sure.
There's not much discussion, like I said, knowing that we're saving the borrowing for later on in 2026. The debt is just, we're bringing in the levy and we're paying out the principal and interest. And then the TIDS, there's some further development that we can kind of discuss on, but that's about it.
All rates should be moving in our favor, been moving on the six also. So once those needs start to become a little more clear or less fuzzy, we use the word.
Correct, yeah.
or we come to terms with them. Some of them we're aware of, but they're just so expensive.
I think it makes all the sense. Go one time.
And I'm in frequent conversation with Ellers, trying to, have them essentially evaluate when the best time to borrowing in 2026 looks.
We're just making smart moves where we can and cutting every little bit's going to help. I mean, I realize, like you said, $36,000 and $1 million, but it's all going to add up, and that's how we just keep chiseling away at this.
Right.
Was there any follow-ups that anybody wants to have from the last meetings? No, questions have all been answered?
I went through all my technology.
No, but I agree with you, and I would say that Jim does too. That would probably be the direction too, because it's the sands, right? That you're like paying for this physical thing that becomes obsolete once you go to
Right.
the cloud and the
Correct.
service.
You know
So
it's gonna, it's gonna
right.
go away.
And with like all the video stuff and everything, your amount of storage, everything's gonna go up and up, and you don't have to deal with that. You don't have the front end costs on it. You can set that up into a.
Yeah.
If you're growing, you're gonna have fees that grow with it, but it's not gonna be the upfront that you had to spend every.
Right, yeah, no, I think that's definitely the way to go. If we can swing it, it's, I think, something we should do because it would free up a lot of his time as well. And also create redundancy that we don't have.
Well, and then you can spend time on things that are getting you the efficiencies you need and possible revenue.
Have our meeting on Wednesday and.
Yeah, we're set for Wednesday at 5, right?
Yep.
4 out of 4. It'll be more of a
Wrapping things.
wrapping up conclusion, talking about some of the bigger strategies, but I think we still had a lot of discussion here. Obviously, a lot of moving pieces. But I guess continue to you look at the stuff if you want, questions if you have. Otherwise, we'll reconvene on Wednesday and take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Thank you much.
Thank you, guys.
And we will
Appreciate it.
see you again on Wednesday.
Good idea.